Hi Ron, how you doing? Wow, this is crazy good. I can't believe this is professional quality work. This is fantastic. You've done wow, done amazing. I am just so proud of you right now for what you've put together here in the last presentation. Okay. I think the narrative is just crystal clear. Obviously, it's a great idea. I shared some. I think I shared one or two of my images with you when I was shooting to Decay for an entire summer, and I think I did post one of my images. But I also, this is more of a rural decay, so this is just fascinating. You see a lot of projects. My project on urban decay was by no means something original. It's been, people have been shooting urban decay for many, many, many years, and I just had a different kind of a narrative take on that. So to move this to an urban setting, I think it's just a rural setting. I'm sorry, a rural setting is just phenomenal. So the narrative is as strong as any I've seen. So fantastic job. Let's go through the presentation. I do have some comments and recommendations. I think this would be a really, really much stronger in terms of visual quality if there was some consistency between each image. And you've got some wonderful techniques going through. That's fantastic. This is just amazing shot. It's an amazing shot. And a lot of your shots are just really super compelling. I am going to go ahead and say that a lot of them seem to have these exposure issues, but they're not. They're part of the story. So, the fact that there's no detail in the black right here, that's fine. It's fine because we get it. You're telling the story without these pristine, preservation of lights and darks and shadows and highlight areas. So it's fantastic. The vignette, the shadow vignette, is a really good idea. It adds kind of like this vintage flair. I think this image is powerful because you have the new truck in the background and the old rusted out truck in the foreground. So you're really telling a story of time, a tale of time here, which is what the narrative is all about as far as I can see. It's all about time. So again, one recommendation here would be to create some consistency in the size of each image. And that could entail some cropping. And then I would also recommend that if you're going to use this kind of like muted effect with the feathered vignette background, the feathered vignette of the shadow areas and the corners of the composition, stick with that throughout the composition, throughout the presentation. So in other words, we could crop, that's where Photoshop would come in terms of cropping, because you get the dimensions here, which this looks like it's 15 by 8.5. And then what I would do is come over here and I would, again, assemble this at 15 by 8.5, assemble this, and it might entail some cropping, right? But that's okay, because in the end, every image will have this consistent flow through your presentation, and that will create harmony in the presentation. Other images like this will be difficult to crop at that specific dimension. However, this would entail a little planning, and I just want to talk about planning a little bit, because in a planning stage, you would probably have backed off on this a little bit further away to entail the cropping that you would need to establish consistent image sizes. And I say consistent image sizes is because those are important in visual communication in terms of presentation, because it will create harmony as your viewer goes from page to page. Okay. Oh, these are just so good. Tough shot shooting. This one's got lights back there and almost shooting into direct light. So that's a tough shot. Fantastic. Just fantastic. It's so good. I love your presentation. This piece, there's a couple pieces I think probably could be eliminated. That's so cool. But again, here's what we have. We have black and white, right? So you've made the option of going to black and white here, which kind of throws the viewer a little bit of a curveball, because you're starting to set this, okay, so you have this image, and that's kind of that muted, kind of old world, old style background, color scheme. And then the same thing here. And then all of a sudden we go to black and white. So the viewer is going like this when you're getting used to watching the presentation and getting this cadence down, and all of a sudden, boom, you go to black and white, the viewer gets jarred a little bit, and it throws the viewer a little bit by saying, okay, whoa, what happened? Now we're black and white and the size has changed. So you're losing a little consistency in the presentation there. This is a great shot because it's a feed store, there's a deer here, and it's posted keep out. It's just so cool. Man, you did good. Another great shot. Well, let me see. I think there's some shots that probably could be eliminated from the presentation effectively. And let me show you what those are. Okay, let's start from the top. Okay, that stays. That's a fantastic shot. Great way to start the presentation. This one could probably, it's out of focus. It's not really, it's the focal point here is in the roof, so it almost looks like this roof could be being repaired as opposed to the rest of these shots when they're just in total disrepair. There's no fixing anything. Okay, so that shot I think would probably be eliminated. That's a good shot. Love the weeds in the foreground. I love the way that you've kind of almost obstructed the structure with the weeds in the foreground, which means you probably had to get down a little bit, maybe on your knees or something to do that, to get that shot, which is great. Do whatever you have to do to get the shot, right? Just be safe. Again, the same thing, but the weeds obstructing the view. So this shot I would like to see more developed, more, I should say, adjusted more in tune with these shots, with that vignette background corners being shadowed out. Okay, again, we talked about cropping on that. That's a great image. It's totally different from the others, though. So again, you want to mind that in terms of, does this fit in the presentation, and does it create a harmonious flow from image to image through the presentation? And it's a great shot, but I'd have to say no, it doesn't, because it's totally different than what we've been seeing so far. Okay, hope that makes sense. Good shot. Love it. Love this shot. Love this shot. This one I don't think belongs. I don't think this is in as disrepair as the other images, so it's kind of, I think we can definitely do without that in the narrative. Great shot. Love it. Another one. Boy, you did well. Again, in this one, I think at the black and white is the part that I don't get. I think other than that, it's just a fantastic shot as part of the narrative, because now we're moving from houses, we've got cars, we've got churches, we've got feed stores. Now we have an old motel. So that's a great addition to the narrative. Just not so sure about the black and white transition there. Great shot, great shot. This one I don't think belongs. I really don't. Again, this is not in such disarray, almost abandoned. And maybe it is abandoned, but it certainly doesn't look like the windows are intact. Most of everything is intact, and somebody's been keeping up with the lawn. So again, I just don't find that to be consistent with the visual demeanor of the other images. That's a good shot right there. Oh, you've done so well. This one is a little nondescript. I think we can either recompose that. I'm not saying drive back to Louisiana, or if you live in Louisiana, I'm not saying drive back to this location. But I think I would have tried to get a different angle, a different perspective on this shot, just because right now a good portion of this shot consists of the foreground, the road, and that telephone line right there. So more like this, see, no road, no telephone lines. I mean, this just could be an abandoned old place, or it could be someplace that somebody's living in, almost like hermit style. You know what I'm saying? And then this piece, I don't think this piece fits in well either, because you know what, this piece is really, really super out of focus, and I just don't think it's as strong as the others. All right, so I can't say enough about this. This is fantastic. I love the work. Love it. Great job. Thank you so much for sharing.